There are 3 very important keys to avoiding any and all toxic relationships and avoiding narcissistically abusive people altogether. These 3 keys include, number 1, knowing yourself and accepting yourself. After all, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything, including narcissistic abuse traps out there that are set for you all over the place. Number 2 is to know what you're looking for in life, out of relationships. Iron sharpens iron. Keep this one in your mind, right? Gold doesn't sharpen iron. Copper doesn't sharpen iron. Iron sharpens iron. You need to find your equal. You're equally yoked. And number 3, last but not least, and this is the one where most people make serious mistakes on, live honestly. Be honest about who you are and be honest about what you are looking for. But you don't want to broadcast it because you don't want to give thieves the access code into your house so they can come in and rob you, if you know what I'm saying. So let's talk about the 3 of these so we understand them going into 2023. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I continue with this very important message for you, I want to let you know that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments. I do take telephone calls as well as video calls through Zoom, WhatsApp, and FaceTime. So if you are struggling in an abusive relationship right now and you want to spend some time right here, head on down there, schedule that one-on-one time with me. Also, I have a coaching program. My coaching program is live and in person Monday through Friday. Together, the Royal We community is holding each other accountable. We are going no contact. We are breaking trauma bonds. We are going into 2023 doing amazing things. So if you would like to join this community, head on down there and get registered right now. Now, we're talking about the 3 keys to avoid narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships all together. 2 of them are common sense. The first 2, the last one is common sense, but people make mistakes on it all the time. People make mistakes with all of them, but let's go ahead and jump right in. Number 1, know yourself and accept yourself. This is a huge deal, and a lot of times people don't know themselves well enough, which is why we end up following wolves and bears into their dens and then get mauled. It's important to know who you are. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Now, it's difficult. A lot of people don't know who they are because you've lived with so much shame from your early on childhood, always having to hide, never being able to talk about your feelings, not being able to share your emotions. As a result, you're like a little clam. Haven't really opened up to the world in a way that's expressive, saying, this is who I am. This is where I belong. And as a result, you're quick to grab on to what other people are doing, right? So there's knowing yourself. And by the way, if you're struggling with this, I encourage you to join the Royal We coaching program because we're going to spend a lot of time on getting to know yourself in this coaching program. But the other key part of this is accepting who you are. Accepting who you are honestly, right? It's with this acceptance that keeps you from following other people and getting involved in doing things that you don't need to be involved with, which can lead to a toxic relationship. Oftentimes, narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships is a result of following a person you had no business being with into things you had no business doing, going places you had no business going, forming a relationship, hoping and waiting for it to turn into something that is more closely resonating with you. And it never works that way. It never works that way. I'm going to share with you a story of a client I had a few weeks back. She called me because she's struggling in her marriage, and I get these phone calls all the time. And it's not that her marriage is physically, verbally abusive, but what has taken place is that it's become toxic and that there's such a difference in the personalities. So she's working hard, and she comes home and she wants to rest. She wants to sit down, have intimacy, talking, relaxing with her husband. Her husband goes out, works, comes, and he wants to go out again and go have fun. Go drink with the neighbors. And it's not uncommon that he'll come home and say, hey, the neighbors want us over. Let's go. And she said that she gets mad and she'll yell at him. Why would you say that? You know, I just worked hard. I want to be home. I want to rest. All you want to do is go out and I want to rest. And she says she's growing more and more frustrated with this. And so I can understand her frustration. But as I was digging deeper in the conversation and I asked, tell me about how your relationship started. What led up to the marriage? How did you date? This and that. And this is where things get interesting. She indicated that during the dating relationship, she was stepping outside of her comfort zone all the time, joining him for drinks, going to bars, hanging out, going to parties. And she said, I didn't regret it. She enjoyed it. She said, however, at the same time, that it makes me even more angry that I compromised myself. I stepped outside of my comfort zone, but he won't for me. I had to snap some reality back into the situation, say relationships don't work like that. It's not you stepping outside of your comfort zone, hoping one day they're going to live outside of their comfort zone. No. All right, I see what happened. I said, so essentially, your husband's the same person he always was. You in the situation joined him, followed him into doing these things, and then decided it's not really you, and now you're upset about it. Instead of compromising ourselves and getting into relationships by stepping outside of our comfort zone, which is essentially not being very honest. It's not being honest with ourselves. It's not being honest with other people. And then later on getting upset, right? Instead, it's better to know who we are, accept ourselves, stay away from those places and people that are outside of our comfort zone, or at least be clear that this is not who we are, this is not what we want, and balance it out from the get-go. This is why it's so important to know yourself and what you stand for, so that you don't wander off trail, getting involved with people, going to places that you don't belong in. This keeps you on one path in life, your path, right? What's the Bible say? Narrow is the path that leads to life. Wide is the gate. Broad is the path, or the mouth of the gate that leads to destruction. What's this imply? The Bible is telling you, stay on your path in life. Don't compromise too much. Don't go out and give up, whatever, get outside of your comfort zone doing these things. That's broad. It leads to destruction, right? So that's number one, know yourself. Number two, when you're on your path in life, know what you're looking for. Iron sharpens iron in life, does it not? There's this image of being equally yoked. What does equally yoked mean? Listen, just because people go to church together doesn't mean they're equally yoked. One of the misconceptions is to believe that equally yoked just means that you're of the same faith. Wrong. Churches are filled with psychopaths, sociopaths, abusers. All kinds of horrible things are in church calling themselves Christians because of the open door policy. Churches have open doors. Come as you are. All right? That's not what being equally yoked is. Being equally yoked in the biblical sense is two oxen, both of equal strength. Not one that's ill and one that's stronger. Not one that's weak and small and one that's big and strong. No. Equally yoked is equally yoked. They're both healthy. They're the same strength. They're both moving together. So it's another important concept. That's one illustration of this. Another one is that iron sharpens iron. It takes iron to sharpen iron. Not gold. Gold doesn't sharpen iron. Copper doesn't sharpen iron. Iron sharpens iron. So when you're on your path being honest in life, the next thing that you want to look for is somebody who is where you're at. Somebody who can be your equal. Somebody who can strengthen you and help bring out the best of you. Help promote the best of you, and you can help promote the best of them. You're moving together, which means you're not looking for somebody who is far greater than you in their status or in their work or whatever. Why? Because you're not going to relate. Eventually, that person is going to go frustrated with you. You're going to go frustrated with them. Why? Because they're 10, 15, 20 steps ahead of you, and they always will be. We'll call that gold, for example. Okay? Gold's different. Even though it's on the same path, even though it's a precious stone, precious metal, whatever, it's over here. Okay? Copper doesn't sharpen iron. You don't also want to find somebody and form a relationship, an intimate relationship with somebody who is behind you, meaning weaker in certain areas, unhealthy, sick, slower, in need of counseling, unless you want to be their counselor. But we're not talking about you counseling somebody. We're talking about an intimate friendship or an intimate relationship. Well, you have to be careful because you can then be dragging that person and you'll be frustrated and they'll be frustrated. Why? Because you'll always feel like you're dragging them. So do you see the importance of knowing where you are, even if it's smack dab in the middle? Iron, which means you need to look for iron. You need to be able to look for who's right there with you, who's moving alongside with you. This is iron sharpens iron. This is being equally yoked. Last but not least, the biggest mistake that people make is in this area, and that is letting people know, being honest about what you're looking for. In other words, a lot of people interpret this as broadcasting, articulating what you're looking for, being upfront with people. I hear this all the time. Well, I told him exactly what I was looking for. When we dated, I told him what I wanted. Well, listen, all this does is give away your secrets. You might as well give thieves the access code to your front door, right? Listen, anybody that you are going to look at on a few dates and say, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, any narcissistic shapeshifter is going to say, oh, that's good to know because that's exactly what I am. That's exactly what I want. Perfect. Right? I'm reminded of the movie Nacho Libre. How many of you have seen that movie? Nacho in the movie met this woman and he was interested. He wanted to have a relationship with her. It was obvious, even though he wasn't supposed to have a relationship because he was part of the monastery or whatever. But he met this woman on this little date and he said, tell me about this incarnatio, right? And she says, well, I like poopies and I like long walks on the beach. And he stopped her and said, oh my gosh, everything you said is my favorite thing to do, right? It's a gross exaggeration, but what's being implied there is the ability for people to just agree with what another person is or who they are in order to get something from them. Okay? And you want to avoid this. So what do you do instead? Instead of broadcasting who you are and what you're looking for. Number one, stay in your lane out of honesty. Don't go following wolves and bears into their dens. Number two, know what you want. But number three, observe. You're not broadcasting and telling people what you expect and out of the relationship or what you want. Instead, you're observing them. It's the only way. Observe them to see where they are, how they relate to you, how they respond to you, how they talk to other people, how they treat their neighbors, how they treat this, how they handle that. Observe, observe, observe. I cannot say this enough. Observe in your relationships. This is the day and age now going into 2023 where we need to be judges. You've got to judge your relationships. And don't give them away the cheats. Don't give them the answers to the test. Let them take the test there in front of you, with you, as you watch them and observe them to see and identify if they are in fact the right kind of iron that's going to sharpen your iron. Let me know down below if you agree with what I'm talking about here. Makes sense to you. If you do need help, I am available through phone calls, video calls, WhatsApp, Zoom, FaceTime. Head on down there. Get scheduled with some one-on-one time with me. Also, the coaching program is available, and the coaching program is live and in person with me every single day. We are doing great things, breaking trauma bonds, going no contact. So head on down there, get registered for the coaching program. I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We.